So, we will, I'm gonna go ahead and, okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and if everybody's ready, we'll go ahead and start the public hearing. We've kind of been talking about it a little bit. On the library. My mom just had knee surgery, so I'm getting stuff in my, all sorts of messages from my aunt about how she's doing. Actually, knee replacement surgery. Anyway, we'll go ahead and, call to order a public hearing for February 13th for Town of Tallulah Falls regarding the HB 581 option to opt out of floating homestead exemption. Need to get a motion to approve the agenda. Scott makes the motion,
Second.
Jimmy seconds, all in favor, unanimous. Okay, we're, how many people are online? Three. We'll kind of want to handle this a little bit different because, I mean, there's not a whole lot of people here. I don't want the public hearing to be a Q&A session. Okay, I want it to just be, people say, hey, y'all need to stay in, or you need to opt out, whatever their opinion is. So kind of want to start off, and we've been talking about it before Scott got here, about HB 581. The first thing I want to point out, because to kind of head off an argument that doesn't make sense to me. A lot of people, when they show up at the Board of Ed public hearings, they're saying, well, we voted for it, you need to stay in. Well, the problem is the same item they voted for on the ballot that said, should the Constitution be amended to provide for a statewide home exemption, also says, but which any county, consolidated government, municipality, or local school system may opt out of upon the completion of certain procedures. So not only did they say they want the homestead exemption, they said, but you can opt out if you want to. They didn't read that far. So I just want to point that out, because coming in and just saying, well, 64% of the people said that we want the homestead exemption. Well, 64% of the people said we could also opt out. So just want to put that out there on the record. Second, I want to kind of summarize what we're looking at and why this is an issue. And since we're being recorded so other people can see this, if we opt out, nothing changes, nothing happens. We just continue to, we continue to do our millage rate. Everything happens as we've been doing it for years. However, we don't have access to a FLOST, an extra penny sales tax, to help offset loss of revenue for the homestead exemptions. If we opt in, we're taking a gamble. That gamble is if a large majority of the people in town decide to homestead their property, it won't happen immediately, but 10 years from now, as home values may increase at a different rate than the consumer price index, there's a chance that we could come up short in revenue because of those homesteaded properties. So right now, we don't have a homestead exemption in town, just the counties have it. So the question is, are we willing to take the chance? It's twofold. Is the council willing to take the chance that we will get a FLOST? That the people in both counties will agree to a FLOST every time it comes up to cover that loss for us. Or, let me say and are the voters willing to recognize and be aware that if we don't have a floss, we will have to increase our millage rate to make up that difference. The other option is opt out. None of that comes into play at all. But the other cities and counties who've all said, I mean, almost every one of them said they want to stay in, don't get the floss, and we become the bad guy. And then next time we go in for SPLOST negotiations, which we have one coming up for this year with Habersham, I think it's T-SPLOST with Raven. Yeah, they're not gonna give us squat. So that's the complexity of what we're looking at in this bill. So tonight is to hear from the public, anyone that wants to weigh in. I do want to open the floor for a short time for any question and answers on this. Anybody has any confusion, anybody has some concern, let's bring it up now, and then we'll go into the actual public hearing part, which will be more, will be more, yeah, the public hearing part will be, a little more rigid. We'll have time limits and we want to leave it to public comment, not a big Q&A. So anyone that's online, anyone that's present, any questions? There are a lot of answers that will be, I don't know. If you ask the right question, so. I want to see if anybody's. You have any questions about it?
Well, can this be an annual thing where you can opt out this year, and next year you decide to opt out?
No.
No.
No, and that's why this is such a problem. It's a well, right now it's a one-shot deal. There is a bill. HB582, I think it is, that would extend the opt-out time to May 1st. But that hasn't made it through. In fact, it really is kind of stuck where it is right now. I don't expect.
It's in the House, I don't think the Senate. I was in the Capitol Tuesday, speaking with Victor.
Okay.
But the Senate's held up on that.
Okay. So it hadn't. Yeah, it just hasn't. It made it out of committee with some substitute favorably reported, so it's in that phase. It's been there for a week, so about a week. But that wouldn't affect it. There was a conversation.
Number 7 in your handout will also addresses that.
Okay. There was a suggestion by the municipalities to change that opt-out language and let us opt out at a later date and then opt back in. And I don't know. But as of right now, no, this is a one shot, one and done. You're either in or out by May 1st or by March 1st. Yeah. So the decision here is whether we want to be in or out. Like I said, the opting out, we can say we leave our millage rate at 6 mils and just stay there forever. Sounds good. We do still have to advertise for property, a tax increase if property values change. Or we opt in and then we still have to monkey with our millage rate. Unless there's a floss in place, so. Historically, Raven County is really good about understanding that the sales tax helps distribute that to all the visitors that come up here from Atlanta and down from North Carolina and South Carolina, and they're buying goods and services and staying at hotels, and you know, they help cover some of our costs with their penny sales tax. Habersham voters don't seem to quite grasp that as much, so it's just one of those unknowns. Like I said, it's a gamble, kind of rolling dice at the. So, any other questions? Anyone online? We got 3 people online, I see. Not seeing any activity. All right, that being the case, then I'll just go ahead and open the, we'll go ahead and move on into the public hearing portion. And we will give, let me see, we got about 20 minutes before for a regular meeting. So I'm gonna give 15 minutes per side. So we will begin with those in favor of opting out. I want to be clear on this. I want to hear from people that are in favor of us opting out from HB 581, and we'll, I'll begin that timer now. It's kind of fun.
What percentage opposed to this apply for? How many people are homestead exemption in the Little Falls?
I think there was 27, currently, there was like 27 in Raven and I think it was 11.
It's close to a 2-to-1 ratio, Habersham being a lower percentage than Raven. A majority of our properties that would be eligible would be in Raven.
Yep.
So. All right, so let's get back to the public hearing. Anyone wanting to speak in favor of opting out? Are you supposed to oppose first?
No, but that's what you said.
Oppose us? I thought I said it.
Okay, go ahead, in
Let me
favor.
rephrase. Okay, let's start over. Reset. That's what my wife always said. She liked playing games rather than life because there was a reset button. So we're reset. Okay, we're, the first 15 minutes we will have for, I just want to say in favor of opting out. I'm gonna say it this time though. Those in favor of opting out, those opposed to staying in. Because that's what the meeting's about. We said we were opting out. So if you're opposed to opting out, now's your time. So. I want to be clear, I want to cover all the bases. I don't want to be too confusing. We'll give it, we'll allow anyone.
So this is in favor
favor
of
of
opting
opting
out.
Because they forced us to say we were opting out.
Anybody online that wants to speak in favor of opting out?
All right. We will. Having no one, I'm gonna do it quite like the Senate does it, and he's fast, if no one speaks up, gavel, it's done. All right, so we're gonna close out the session for those speaking in favor of opting out of HB 581. And we'll open the floor to anyone wanting to speak, 15 minutes. Speak in opposition to opting out. They want to stay in. Anyone want to stay in, now's your time to speak up.
Personally, I'm for staying in because I'm a believer in the sales tax as a fairest tax.
And that'd be Jimmy Franklin from Blue Falls School.
I think there's a big benefit where others help out all the communities. And I think that's why the other municipalities, towns are going for opting in because they see the value and the fairness of the sales tax. That's a personal opinion, but I see it as a way for those from the outside to help our local communities as well as our local communities. To me, it's the fairest across the board tax. That's a personal opinion. That's not. Think about that.
So. Okay. Anyone else wanting to speak in opposition to opting out? In other words, you would like to, the town to stay in? Online. Okay. Go ahead and close out that portion of the public hearing. And maybe should have ordered that advertisement different. Unless there's any more discussion, any more questions, other statements from the council, we can close out this public hearing. I'd need a motion to adjourn. Jimmy makes the motion, Scott seconds, all in favor, unanimous. So we got about 19 minutes before we can start our next meeting, our regular meeting.
Okay, For those of you online, I'm gonna shut this meeting down and I will reopen if you want to join, same word.